Hey there everybody, how's it going? My name is Nightshade. Thank you so much for joining us. I will of course be doing some additional IvD gaming replays here, and this is going to throw you a little bit of a curveball, so I do apologize up front and personable, but down in the bottom right hand corner here on Bel'Shir Vestige is, well, it says be happy, but this is actually IvD's Phog. And of course, Phog has been around for quite some time. He was formerly with Quantic Gaming, and of course, Drew Roberts is his name. He's 15 years old. I don't know if that's actually accurate or not. I'm going to say that's actually probably a little bit inaccurate. And no, he used to be 15 years old. So he's one of your younger members. But he's darn freaking good. And very pleased to actually have him. He's actually a new hire with IvD Gaming. So I'm really happy. I don't know, I just said really like 3 times. But to be perfectly honest, I'm terribly excited about the fact that we've got him on board. Like, realistically, I can't sell this enough. So we'll keep an eye peeled on him. He's going to be our Zerg player down at the bottom right. Of course, he is going to go for a spawning pool first, actually. Something a little bit out of the ordinary. It is an old standard build opener against Protoss. Protoss is his opponent up on the top left-hand side of the screen, of course, ladies and gentlemen. From Seed Gaming, this is actually the parent, or rather the child team for Root Gaming, actually. Root Gaming's amateur team, or I don't know, I guess they call it an academy team, but it's their junior division, and of course, Astrea, one of their excellent Protoss players, and as you can see, is going to go with the usual cybernetics core, double gas opener, and we should expect to see these gases saturated fairly quickly here as he continues on with his build. But his name is, of course, Max Angel. He also is 15 years of age. I think he is. Yeah, he's 15 years old, and he too is a fabulous player. So we're going to be really lucky here to have both of these guys playing. And Astrea versus Phog. Where's this going to go? We'll find out in just a minute. Of course, Astrea is going to opt to head on out. Going to throw down a very quick Nexus, actually. A little bit surprised, actually, that he went with this route. I stand corrected. Double gas, 2 workers on gas. You can expect to see a mothership core out of him fairly soon once he reaches that 100 gas mark. Maybe even a little sooner, because the goal here is to try to get, of course, your warp gate working fairly quickly here. So we'll keep an eye peeled on that. Yep, there is the mothership core. He's opting to go with that defensive measure first. Get her out so that she can start charging energy up for the photon overcharge that surely Astrea knows that he's going to need. And, yep, there's the warp gate as well, but he's not going to chrono boost that quite yet. He's actually going for Stalker behind this as well. On the flip side of things, Phog down at the bottom of the map here is looking pretty darn good, to say the least. And, of course, opting to grab, of course, that hatch next. Now, if you're wondering, why go pool, then hatch? Well, the reason why is to go pool and catch 100 gas out of the assimilator. Of course, you want pool gas, get your Zergling speed, research it started already, and then start saturating. With Zerglings, with speed, you can start to really apply a lot of pressure and take map control, do some additional scouting, find those nuisance pylons. There's so much work you have to do as a Zerg player against Protoss that it's very important to have that early Zergling speed and early map control, and it'll allow you to do a lot. Of course, injects going down very quickly here by both queens here. There's the other one, and keeping the energy very low. So Phog obviously showing that awesome pedigree that he has picked up during his stay with Quantic. And again, like I said, now over with IvD, so he's just going to continue to get better and better as life goes by. And, yeah, just feeling really good about this whole situation and where everything is going with this particular game as both players continue to macro on up here. We do see a Forge going down as well to provide a little bit of an upgrade advantage. Of course, you do want to get that +1 attack for those Zealots so they can basically 2-shot Zerglings very quickly here. Otherwise, it takes actually 3, and that slows things down by quite a bit. But more importantly is also your additional units pick up that advantage. Stalker killing himself an Overlord, and that's going to supply block Phog for at least a short period of time while this additional Overlord is going to show up. But they are about, I don't know, 15 seconds game time away, so that's going to slow things down by quite a bit here for Phog. And actually, yeah, I'm going to use the extractor trick to try and continue things on. But Phog is going to go for a Roach Warren, pretty standard opener. Roach is pretty good unit, obviously really good against Zealots, but more so very good against Stalkers as well in good numbers. Lings are only going to get you so far. That's what it boils down. Lings are only so good a unit. They're great for run-bys, but if you can't break on in, you're not going to do much of anything. Lots of sentries here coming on out here for Astrea. Does Astrea have a robo anywhere? I don't see one, but it almost feels as though Astrea is preparing for some kind of hijinks. I'm just going to see if there's a robo planning on being on the way. There's a photon cannon. We've got 1, 2, 3 gates so far. Yeah, this has been an interesting build actually here by Astrea, but it certainly feels as though Astrea is kind of preparing for like a robo all-in or something, but like an immortal all-in with all the sentries, but opting to not to bother with that. I think it's just better to have a lot of force fields, and he knows that to keep the charges up if she's going to do it. There indeed is the robo, so yeah, it's going to look like it's going to be an immortal play, but that robo's a little bit on the late side of things, I think. And yeah, as you can see, he's going to just continue to push across the map here with the support of the Mothership Core. These sentries should be fairly untouchable, but this is going to persuade Phog to actually create a lot of roaches. And there's 11 already in production, and he's expanded on out to his third base. So Astrea and Phog both trying to do the same kind of build, and both guys looking pretty strong here, as Astrea is doing so much with so little. Just a handful of sentries is able to push on out here, but once those roaches show on up, this is going to be a really tricky situation. Hallucinating in that Phoenix, going to get a good scout here as it flies on into the base of Phog. Going to see that Phog is like, haha, alright, no big deal. Lots and lots of roaches here already on the map and visible. But there's a lot of force fields available here, so it is going to be a bit of a tricky engagement, I think. And yeah, it's going to be very, very hard. There is no immortal support, so I don't know if Astrea wants to engage this. It does not look like he wants to. He's going to back right on up here. He's going to see an Overlord. Nay, free kills indeed. They're always good. Unfortunately, Phog is going to lose just one Overlord, and but that was a good visual Overlord. It allows Phog to know where that army is. It's going to give him a breath of sigh of relief, because now he's able to continue to macro up. And you can see actually he's opting to go with a lot of drones here. So, and the reason why is he wants to have that really good solid economy. There we go. They are going to pop. Of course, this is going to give him additional time to get his upgrades up and running. Of course, he just has one at a time right now. He only has the one Evo chamber. I'd like to see two, to be honest with you, but I mean, he's the pro gamer. What am I to say otherwise? Hydralisk Den has gone down as well. It's almost standard when you see a Roach and a Hydra Den, you're always going to see 2 Evos as well to get that 2-2 upgrades as quickly as you can. So as things continue on, of course, roaches are going to come on out here and just continue to hold position out front as the queen is going to push that creep out. And this is a great play. By keeping it up front, they're able to support the queen. They've got lots of room to back on up, but there is, of course, a hallucinated Phoenix getting some scouting information. In fact, 2 of them are going to head on over, one going the one direction and falling out. The other one is going to show up as well, and they're completely hallucinated. There's no damage actually being done. And of course, I don't know why the Overlord's like, oh, this tickles. Oh, it's so unfortunate. Please stop. It is going to fall out of the sky, of course, as it disappears. And we do see a fairly good engagement here. Of course, you see the Langsing trying to engage here. And, yeah, Phog's like, no, not wanting to do that. He's going to back right on up. I think we've all been in that situation. You should be like, oh, you've got that. Yeah, we don't want to do this. I think he's going to try to bait him on the one side of the coin. No, he's not going to be able to get those roaches on out. Too many force fields here out of those sentries. Lots more where they came from, and the roaches are going to continue to work away, maybe try to snipe themselves a pylon. Not able to do so, of course, as time work goes down, and you can see Phog is really not wanting to do any kind of engagement here. He does not have burrow just quite yet, so he's kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place here, as Astrea is going to use up a lot of that energy. In fact, all of it. There is not a force field available, and it's just going to be a lot of Stalkers and some Immortals, but that is exactly what you need to do a lot of damage. Now, if you guys are wondering, though, the greatest counter to all of this right here is a lot of Hydralisks, and that is exactly what Phog is making an absolute ton of. He's got a good-sized Roach force. He just needs a lot of Hydras to back it on up. There's 11 in production, and they are popping as they go. The Zealot is going to die very quickly, but Phog is going to expand on out to that left-hand side of the map and get himself situated very, very well indeed. Of course, he's going to support that with these Roaches here, and before he turns back onto the creep, he's going to see that there is a lot of Stalkers and Immortals. He does not want them to let them do anything and everything they want to do. There is an Observer here as well, so they're going to start cleaning up creep tumors. And this is going to be a little bit of a problem here with Phog, because Astrea is looking very, very strong with those 3 Immortals and the Stalkers. Again, as you can see, force fields going down as well. but the Roaches are now supported by some Hydralisks as well as a Queen as well, so this is where it's going to get a bit tricky. It's all about engagement, and Astrea, I think, Astrea is just a bit behind in the army supply, 100 to 116, but that is very close. But more importantly, upgrade side of things is where it's going to start to show 2-1 upgrades here for Astrea, whereas only just +1 missile attack has been researched here. So very unfortunate. However, all the other little optional upgrades like grouped spines, like muscular augments, like glial reconstitution have been done. So these Roach Hydras are going to be very, very fast. And actually a couple of force fields were not able to catch any units as they're going to zip on by. But a blink down the bottom of the ramp is going to reveal the total magnitude of the force of Astrea as the Roach Hydras are going to try to counter here. I don't think there's a whole lot of force fields. Actually, I stand corrected. There is a handful ready to go. But it kind of looks like a situation where Phog is trying to actually push these units into a corner. The DPS of these units is pretty good, but catching a couple of units on the ramp as well as the Time Warp. And Astrea is going to start raining down the pain with a superior concave at the top of that ramp. And Phog, not wanting to engage on it, unfortunately, is going to have to flee and is going to be able to get back onto creep, and if he's able to do so, he'll be in fine form and be able to back on out. He does have a lot more units in production right now, as you can see, 8 and 6 respectively for the Hydras and Roaches. And it's 102 supply, army supply versus 88. Worker count is a much higher though, 82 workers to 69. So a little bit of that 200 is getting gobbled up here, rather the 194 200 is getting gobbled up on worker count. But he's got a very strong economy, as you can see. He's got his 4th base up and running. Natural's going to town. He's got his main, his natural now as well. Of course, his 3rd is also up and running. And an engagement as he's trying to go on up the ramp and try to take care of the SimCity. Shuts it down with a lot of cancels there going down. Archons have come into the mix here for Astrea as the Immortals, the Stalkers, the Archons, even a handful of sentries throwing down the force fields as this is going to continue to work away. Immortals do not get a bonus against Hydras, but Hydras with their DPS can do a little bit of damage there. But the forces of Phog are having an awfully difficult time dealing with this 2-2 force of Astrea. So this is something where those upgrades are really starting to hurt Phog. He needs to get a little bit better upgrades. He's got 2-0 right now, but with no armor upgrades whatsoever. He's having an awfully hard time trying to get these good engagements and be able to hold on to his forces. And as you can see, he's starting to recoup in the center of the map. And again, his army value is actually higher, 86 to 82, still over his opponent Astrea. But again, it's just these numbers. Roaches artificially inflate that number hugely so, because it just have a weird number composition to that, and they just always seem a little bit odd. Going to catch himself a free Archon though, and maybe even another one. Yep, it's going to kill off that very, very quickly indeed. But he's got to be careful. Does not want to get pinched here by this force of Astrea, but it has been somewhat whittled down here. There's a handful of Stalkers. I think, have they been even traded out? Where is the rest of them? I think a lot of Stalkers did die in that one engagement. Of course, Viper's now showing up, getting a couple of good abducts, catching a couple of units out, and some Zealots are going to die down very, very quickly. But this thing's starting to look like the tides are going to turn here for Phog, and finally able to keep everything together. Astrea using a little bit of Blink Micro here, but the numbers are starting to dwindle, and as you can see, Phog looking really, really strong here as he's going to push forward with these Hydras, focusing down at these Immortals one by one and taking care of those big, expensive units. And yeah, as you can see, Hydralisks very, very fast shooting units indeed. They're going to continue to work away onto these Zealots that are tanking the damage up front and personal. This is going to get countered by Astrea fairly well and pushed on back, but additional units are in production, and on 4 bases, Phog is going to be in really good shape here as well. Of course, he does have his Vipers now finally fed off with that consumability, and they're going to regain those troops and push on out here back onto the creep that is slowly receding. But of course, we can see some creep tumors pushing on up here as Lings are also going to support on here. Ling's pretty good unit if they can get the good surrounds here, which is exactly what they're trying to do. And you can see Astrea trying to avoid that from even occurring. Going to catch a couple of units out and kill them off. They're going to take a little bit longer than anticipated, because of the fact that his numbers of Phog are starting to dwindle here, but they are able to push on forward as he's going to take care of that pylon, rip it apart, and take it on down. And if he's lucky, he might be able to catch himself an Immortal. No, he's not. He's going to head up the ramp here and into Astrea's, I guess you could say, his 4th base here on the left-hand side of the map. But on even bases, Astrea is going to have a very strong economy and be able to try and counter this fairly quickly here. As he's going to push on forward, Mothership Core does go down. The Nuisance Bird has gone out the window. And yeah, so this is where it's going to get very interesting. Of course, we do have the Blinding Cloud's going down, but no units underneath them. And again, a lot of the forces here have been overrun here. Just a handful of Stalkers and an Immortal for Astrea trying to hold things together. Some Zealots have been warped in, but Phog looking so good as he's going to continue to work away. Again, I said additional units been warped in. Archons are going to pop. Archons get a great bonus against Bio, and they're going to try to do as much damage as humanly possible. And this is just absolutely insane non-stop action this whole freaking game. Ladies and gentlemen, the Immortal here is trying to get a lot of damage done here from long range, and a big well played out of Astrea. Ladies and gentlemen, IvD's Phog is victorious. Check us out, ivdgaming.com.